stay right. Morning Drive with Tim Elliott on MIRA Business FM. Start your business day right. Morning Drive with Tim Elliott on MIRA Business FM.
This is the Morning Drive. It is MIRA Business FM. Here is a question for you. I'll introduce our guest in just a moment. The AI squeeze. Is the golden years career over? We've always been told that the experience and seniority are, those two traits, if you like, are the ultimate job security. Now, data from Boston College's Center for Retirement Research, who knew, suggests the exact opposite. So here's the data, the findings. Since ChatGPT's launch in 2022, workers aged 55 plus in AI-exposed roles, so that's kind of like coding and accounting, data analysis, are exiting the workforce at significantly higher rates than before. Is it happening here? And what can you do about it? And what do you need to consider? David McKenzie is the MD, the man at the regional, did you like that?
I did.
Regional recruitment consultancy, Mackenzie Jones. Welcome back. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me
This is
back.
interesting, because this kind of affects both of us, not because we're old, but, well, it is that reason, actually. You sent me this article this week. It was an article from futurism.com. AI exposed jobs saw relative increases in total transitions out of work and specifically to unemployment. So my question to start with, is it bye-bye boomers bye-bye Gen Xers. Is AI pushing the old people out of the workforce?
I think it's pushing the old people out that aren't changing because we're a bit unusual here in the UAE.
I thought you were going to talk about us, and I thought, no, I'm
me?
certainly not unusual.
Me and you.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel about it? I mean, I use AI all the time, and I think AI is an enabler. I don't see that as, and especially in my industry, where everyone's...
I think it depends if you're interested in it. I think it depends how interested you are in technology, first of all, and how accessible you find it, how intuitive you find it, and whether you use it. If you've integrated it into your life, and you have an understanding of it. There are so many people around my age, our age, who are like, oh no, I can't be bothered with all that. And I always think, I'm quite interested in that.
But then you're the one that won't be pushed out the plane early.
Well, thanks. Well, no parachute.
Exactly.
Right.
But I think that's the key thing. It's like anything where you learn to use something for first time. It's like when you start running and stuff. You gradually get better the more and more you run. With technology, I find is when I start using something, I almost go down this sort of rabbit hole when I start discovering new pieces I can do with it. So when we first used it for our recruitment company, I'd write a blog and I'd get ChatGPT to look at it and give my view.
Right.
And I'd change bits of it. Now it can write adverts for us. We put the CVs we have, the 500 CVs we get the job description from the client, and we merge the two into ChatGPT and say, give us all the criteria of which ones are best fitted.
You see, that's the thing about it, isn't it? And we say this all the time. We talk about AI a lot. I mean, it's topic of the year, no doubt about it. It is this is the moment, I suppose, where we're gradually starting to accept it and it's integrated. It's going to be normal next year. We won't even be talking about AI next year.
In fact, maybe me and you won't be here.
Yeah, perhaps. We sat in the room with the boss. I think he's getting ideas. But it's so interesting because you're using it, I think you're using it in the way that AI should be used. It is an assistant. It's an assessment tool. You can use it to check things. It's a reference tool, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's doing things for you, but ultimately you're still in charge. The issue is always either you're using it to do the job for you or you're not using it to do the job for you and you're frightened of it.
Yeah, and I think
be in the middle.
I think if you're the latter, and you're of a, let's face it, let's be honest. I'm older than you, and I know you saying we're the same age. I'm definitely older than you.
In what way? In dog years or?
Okay. Just got a vision of me and you as dogs now. So I think what's happening is, as the AI, you're right, has become the biggest thing, and everyone talks about it now. But I think a lot of people who are slightly older are confused by it and generally fear it. I think that's the active thing. Yeah. So I think this survey was really good because what it said, it was older people that were doing repetitive jobs like accounting, tax auditing and stuff like that. The view, certainly within Europe now, you have to work a lot longer because pension pots aren't worth as much. Yeah. So those people were thinking rather than retiring at 60, they were going to retire at 75. That option's being taken away from them.
Yeah, so this is not kind of retiring to the golf course, is it? This is kind of involuntary unemployment, really. Yeah. So forced out before you had planned.
The plane analogy.
Yeah, so it is the no parachute thing. What do you find here? Well, what in general when you're talking to people and you're trying to fill roles now? How big a part of the conversation is AI and acceptance of AI? And
I think generally across recruitment, you've got to remember our market's slightly unusual here. When you've got candidates who are 55 plus, they're slightly more unusual here.
Sure.
Because also the visa age is I think it's 65 now.
I think it is, yeah.
So what we're seeing is I'm now seeing an older population arriving in the Middle East. Those people, by the very nature, they've decided to move countries at a latter part of their career and life. They typically are much more open to ideas and stuff. So I think the people that are coming here are much more open to what AI can do because they've come from jurisdictions where it's being used more and more. Now, if I look at my candidates as a whole, how many are AI enabled? I reckon less than 40%. I reckon there's a good 60% actually either don't use AI on a daily basis, worried about AI, and have no idea what it's going to do for their job.
Okay. So, see, I've noticed for the last sort of year, maybe 2 years, a friend of mine who is a very successful financial director, I was talking, I have a podcast license, so I was chatting away one day and I said, I don't have a logo for the company. It's really just me, and he said, I'll get you a logo. So he pulled up ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gives me this logo, and I was distinctly underwhelmed. I went, that's just rubbish. It's a microphone with my name next to it, and I thought you could probably do better than that. But the point was, he a couple of years older than me, I would think, very successful, very sharp guy, but it was just very natural for him to use that app, and he uses it on his phone, and he's using it clearly at work for a lot of things, checking the bottom line. I don't know what he does. I don't really understand it.
Numbers.
It was perfectly a part of his existence.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And that's about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. And that was really normal. And conversely, the other side is, I mean, my wife has used it because she's a teacher and she's using it in school. She's not using it to write the reports, which apparently a lot of teachers do, and you can tell.
Really?
But she's doing it to check. She's looking at it to check at what children are doing. It's very hard to find euphemisms and different adjectives when you're saying, "Oh, little Johnny is such an enthusiastic,
An emotional
learner.
character."
He's an emotional character," which reading between the lines means I really would like him to not be in my class. You know, one of
To
those.
stop crying.
So it's for that. But lots of different ways to use it. But I think there is an acceptance if you're exposed to it. If there's no real reason to be exposed to it, I think you're right. I think lots of people are afraid.
But one of the things when I interview candidates, I say, how do you perceive technology in your workplace, in your work life?
Right.
And what do you do outside of work? How do you use, AI? So, example, I went to Australia in January, just before the war.
Yeah.
We planned a whole trip, an agenda through Claude.
Did you really?
So my missus, who is not a commercial person at all, the Swede, and she said to me, how do I get from, I don't know what to do in I'm trying to remember the capital of Australia, Sydney. Well, it's not Sydney, it's Canberra, isn't it? But Sydney.
Close.
I was thinking Tokyo. What
Big
was I-
country. Sydney's nice.
Why was I in Tokyo? So she basically said, right, what do I do in, I've got Tokyo on my brain now. What do I do
It's because the President of the United States thinks Japan's an Islamic republic.
Oh my goodness.
I know, that's remarkable.
Another story.
There you are.
So anyway, so we planned the whole trip around Sydney, and then she said, well, how do I get from Sydney to Noosa? What's the quickest way? What's the flight? How much would it cost? She put it all into ChatGPT, into Claude, and it mapped our whole journey, where we go to, how much to buy the tickets for the Opera House, what was on at the Opera House. It booked us tickets. It was amazing, and it did a whole itinerary for a month, and it planned our whole trip around Australia.
And did you stick to that itinerary?
It was genius.
Wow.
And her prompts were, I want to go to Noosa, I want to do some surfing, we need to go running every morning, where's the best place to run, where's the best place to have coffee afterwards? It planned every single thing. And where it sent us to the coffee shop, this is a great coffee shop. It's a bit off the beaten track, but it's got great views. This one's more hustly and bustly. Try that one if you want. It was so spot on.
That's unbelievable.
So
Okay.
going back to the work thing, if you are of an older generation, I'm talking 50 plus, because that's typically what, in work terms, you're getting to the
twilight years.
the latter part of your career.
Yeah.
One thing you must always do is understand how AI is going to affect your job, but also how it's going to make your job easier.
Yeah, there's a feeling, isn't there, that AI is kind of the first wave of tech to target the higher paid, the white collar knowledge workforce as well. So you've got to be ready for that, I suppose, to be able to utilize that. So there's a very real chance that all those years of experience that mean something are kind of not as important now because AI.
Yeah, it's a dangerous one, though, isn't it?
You know, there's a line between AI replacing it and, well, no, we need Derek, Ahmed, because he's done this for a long time and he's used to all these different situations. But I don't know where that line is.
But I do think this is a really interesting thing, and you've highlighted this. It's AI will not solve 20 years worth of experience, understanding how to do things, the subtle nuances of how you do your job. So in theory, when you're hiring a finance director, the finance director is predominantly numbers based. It makes sure the company is operating financially right. So technically AI can do some of that, but what it can't do is the FD talks to the sales director and understands how selling more of these units is going to make their company more profitable and how to go about doing that because he's got networks in Saudi. This is the bit that the personal knowledge, I think, whatever happens to AI, that will always be a hugely valuable commodity.
But it is replacing some really high paid tasks because it can automate things in, drafting contracts, legal things. It can automate financial steps, media to an extent as well, that you view as something that you need decades of specialized training.
How would it do media then? What's your vision of where your job will be as in podcasting or broadcasting? How do you think that will change?
Oh, I'll just be a bot. I aim to be a
Some
bot.
would say you are already.
Yeah, that's not new.
But how do you think that? You think about why people listen to you on the radio. It's because you're interesting. You have interesting guests, but also it's the way you conduct yourself. Do you see in the next 5 years that AI is going to be able to take that away, and that a listener in their car is going to be as interactive or engaged?
Not really, but I see it automating lots of the tasks, lots of the scripting, lots of the interviews, lots of the stuff that you see flashing along your screen, all of that kind of stuff, because that's being done now. And that used to be, a couple of years ago, that was written by journalists. Now it's aggregated information. So you're immediately replacing a whole generation of journalists with aggregated content, which is culled from all sorts of different sources.
But that's happening now, isn't it?
That's happening now. So when you see that, you see the scroll across the bottom of your screen, for example. That's one way. Whether it replaces people is a different thing. But if you can download and use Notebook LM, for example, and that's one of many different programs that will, a large learning model that will automate, feed in a CV, which I've done, and it will then create a podcast. And you could specify, I want this to be a host with 2 guests, or a host with 1 guest, or 2 hosts, or 2 experts, whatever it is, and it will provide the different voices. And it's a very listenable podcast. I did it with a guy, an AI specialist, a year or 2 ago. He said, let's just try this. So we did, and it was really good.
Was it?
After 2 or 3 listens, you start to think, that's not quite right. It doesn't quite
samey?
work. Little bit samey. But, again, you can just feed it in again, and it will spit something out ever so slightly different. Same, but different kind of thing. But it's amazing. So that's a year or 2 ago. Where's that now?
Well, probably a lot better.
Probably a lot better, yeah.
So I think if you're of an older generation now, the very nature you need to be interested in technology. You don't have to understand it. You need to be interested on a very basic level, like how do you use it on your phone? Because once you start using it on your phone, suddenly it comes into the workplace, and rather than going, oh no, I'm not a tech expert, and I hear that a lot from people. I'm not techie.
Yeah.
But do you use Instagram? Yes. Do you post on Instagram? Yes. How do you get your content? How do you program your content? You suddenly start really becoming fascinated with how these technological things can impact. And every conversation I have with people like you, I've just learned about this. This is fascinating for me. I think that's a really clever thing to do. So how could I use what you've told me there in an interview process with candidates? Could I automate some of my interview process to do a first round of screening that uses AI to get the basic needs I need, rather than me make a phone call, which means I've had more time to do the proper screening interview.
Okay, but that's you using AI intelligently, isn't it? That's you using it.
It's me not fearing it. And I think the point in this article was a lot of older workers are leaving because they don't know how to use AI, but it's not that they don't want to learn, it's they fear it. And the thing is, that adage, old dogs and new tricks. I'm a real believer that every week you've got to learn something new. Like I've done pottery recently with my mate Cora. Don't know. I'm so rubbish at it. My pot looked like a stegosaurus. I don't know how you're meant to drink out of it. But you know what? It was fascinating because I learned how to mold clay and stuff. For me, it's nothing to do with work, but it's a new skill, which how are you going to use it in the future? I don't know. I'm going to bring my pot in and give it to you for your Christmas present. But
thanks very much. I do need a new stegosaurus. So that's gonna
everyone
be great.
needs a stegosaurus,
don't they? It's fair, but that's a good thing, and it's a good example because you have stepped out of your comfort zone. You've learned something new, and I wonder if AI. It's not really fear of the technology because there's so much tech around.
Yeah.
In some way, you're using tech. whatever you may think you're not techie, but you're using something in some way. I wonder if it's more fear of change. And it's the next sort of stage of
let's be honest,
society.
That's been a perennial thing, isn't it? Everyone,
which is natural. I mean, that's it's what's going to happen. Oh, I don't know about that. So you back away from it.
Do you fear getting older?
I'll be completely honest with you. Have you ever seen Gran Torino?
Yeah. With Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
That's a great movie.
So he's basically an old guy, retired, sat on his porch,
Koreans,
shouting at passing children.
No, it was shouting at the Korean kids, wasn't it?
And the Korean kids, that are walking by. Turns out he really likes the Korean families and likes the food and then helps people. But I want to be him, sat on the porch, shouting at passing children.
Yeah, but I loved about that because it turned into a really nice feel-good. He was a grumpy old bugger, wasn't he? And he turned into this human being that actually was inherently, I think, a bit racist, wasn't he?
Yeah, certainly of his generation, I think,
And he had a new lease of life where the family started caring for him. So if you put this into the work context, in the Middle East, the concept of older people working is still quite a newish concept. Mm-hmm. There's still a bit of ageism here. And I think it's less so than in Europe, by the way, because I think we buy expertise here and we buy skills and knowledge, etc. Mm-hmm. But as the economy develops here, we're going to be in a situation, how do we look at people that are older, that aren't so tech-enabled, but they've got loads of experience? So how do we keep them integrated into the workforce?
Okay, and you've got to make a special effort to do that, I suppose.
Absolutely.
You've got to take the time.
But you think about it, I sat down when I was a bit younger, when I was in the army, and we had these two old guys that came in who'd served in World War II. They'd been on Omaha Beach.
Okay.
And this is before Saving Private Ryan. Mm. They told us about it, and we were young soldiers, by the way. We sat there and we were like, oh my goodness me, they went through this. Mm. Now, there's none of these guys around. So how do we learn that knowledge? Where does that knowledge, it has to come through films, etc. But there's nothing better than sitting with somebody and learning from them what they've done and how they've done it. AI is not going to replace that yet.
Yeah. And there's nothing like the experience of actually being somewhere to really get across actually being somewhere. Yeah. It's very easy to report on something and say, oh, yeah, I've seen that building. It's great. Have you been in that building?
Yeah.
No. Well, then who are you to talk about it?
Do you remember Dubai before Uber? Dubai before driverless cars? There's all these things that we've been here so long now. We've got so much history of this place growing up and how work has changed here and how efficient the workplace is now compared to 20 years ago. Mm. We've got that knowledge still. We've developed as a country in the last 20 years more than Europe has done in the last 200 years.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And that experience is sitting in with us. And as we get older, what do you do? How do you utilize that experience? And I think what you utilize is AI.
How do you monetize that? Because there you go. Come to me.
Exactly.
We need to start.
Old man's knowledge club.
That's really good. OMKC.
I'm not sure.
We'll work on the acronym.
You're lucky you didn't say that out loud.
OMKC. We could turn that out. That turns into mock. Which is good. That might work. So I have a paragraph here, and this is from, I don't know where I got this from, but I guess it's probably AI. It's not, it's from Google. It's from an article on Google. Anyway, here it is. What AI means for the future of work is this, and I wonder what you think about this. It means that career security is no longer guaranteed by seniority, higher education, or professional tenure, while past technological revolutions protected experienced white-collar workers by automating only physical or routine tasks.
Yep.
AI now directly challenges the high-end cognitive skills, analysis, and synthesis that command top-tier salaries. So this is where we are headed, I guess.
And I think actually the people that are 30 and the 40s will be going into their 50s and 60s much better prepared and much better armed than we were.
Yeah. And if you're compressing sort of traditional career ladders, and that's effectively what will happen, right? An AI can replicate tasks instantly that years of experience has taught, people. The future's going to mean more reinvention.
Yep.
Getting away from routine knowledge production. Mm-hmm. So the human traits, I figure, naturally are going to be more necessary. So emotional intelligence, if you have to judge something ethically, should I, shouldn't I, what are the implications of this? The really complex stuff that you wrestle with, that's going to become more important. And I was thinking about this. If you're leading a team and it's heavily tech AI enabled, you have experienced people, and you have inexperienced people, you're going to have to be an even more creative leader to get the best out of people.
Or have to ask more questions. See,
possibly.
I don't think a leader has all the answers. I think a good leader is able to extrapolate the right answers from your team.
Okay.
This is where leadership, I think, is slightly misaligned here, because typically what we see in companies now is that people are promoted into leadership roles because they're the best biller, they're the best salesperson, whatever.
Yeah.
This has been an age-old problem. I think the best leaders are the people that have got knowledge, experience, but also had to utilize that and harness that in others. And I think here's a good analogy, and I give the army one because that's one of my career before. The people, when I was a young officer, the soldiers would report to me. I would lead the battalion, but actually I never did. The sergeant major did. He was a 40-year-old, crusty old git who was he had so much knowledge and so much experience. And I was a 21-year-old lieutenant who we reported to.
Yeah.
And he was a 40-year-old guy with, 15, 20 years of experience in combat. And I learned very early on that he was the oracle. If there was a problem, and he used to go, "Well, sir, what's your view?" And I go, "Well, Sergeant Major, I'm going to defer to you on this." He goes, "Sir, sometimes you need to make a call."
Yeah, exactly. But that's how everything works, right?
Yeah.
You need a chain of command. There has to be some kind of structure, pretty much to everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things don't work. So if you have that, and you're able to defer, there's a really good modern example of leadership, I think. It's the World Cup final. So you have the greatest player that we've ever seen, possibly, in Lionel Messi. Allegedly. Well, I mean, you can't deny he's a great player.
Yes.
I think there's a re-examination of him at the moment. But he's the captain of the team. And if you look at it's just a dreadful display of football in the game.
Of ethics.
The ethics afterwards, the fights.
Yeah.
But the question, my question would just be, where was he as the leader of the team? There was no leadership happening there. And it's a really good example of you can be the best at something. You can be the best biller or the best penalty taker or the best football player of all time. But he's certainly not the best leader. I mean, that's apparent.
They made him I'm assuming, I don't understand football, they made him the captain because he's a world-renowned, fantastic footballer.
Sure.
Doesn't necessarily mean he can lead the team.
Exactly.
And the proof is, when Spain were accepting the cup, he should have got those guys behind and clapping and congratulating him as the victors of the World Cup. What he did was he was turned with their back to them facing the crowd. That was a terrible display of ethics, sportsmanship, everything. I think, unfortunately, Argentina's come out of this World Cup, terrible reputation.
Well, they've come out as villains, unfortunately, for such a great footballing side. There was one member of the team, it was the guy that plays for Palmeiras, the Brazilian side, who turned around and showed a little bit of respect. But that's
terrible.
Years of training. But the rest didn't bother.
So, example, in a company, if your leader is not focused on what the goal is, how are you expected to hit that goal? So, but a leader doesn't know everything. I'm the MD of Mackenzie Jones. I don't know all the answers. I have to ask my team what to do in certain circumstances, and there has to be a certain amount of humility to do that. Now, if we dovetail this with AI, if I don't know an answer now, I typically can go onto AI and ask it.
Yeah.
And I regularly go on and go, "What would you do in this situation?" No, I sort of know the answer, but I like to refer to it because technically we're silver surfers. Did you know that?
There we go.
So
you're always a warhorse to me, but there you are. Silver Surfers.
The Silver Surfers, it came out after the dot-com boom that the perception was that people who are retired or whatever would never use the internet. And there's been a rise of what we call the Silver Surfers, who are tech-enabled. They set up their Facebook page, their Instagram page. They're very engaged, and they've almost had a renaissance of their life through technology.
Okay. So we've had the Silver Fox, and now we've got the Silver Surfer. The Surfer's a bit cooler as an analogy.
Apparently, my grandma was a Silver Surfer. I'm pretty sure.
Here's another phrase for you. I think you'll like this. The adaptation burden.
Oh,
that's a good one, isn't it? Have you heard that? This is the
what does it mean?
It's the pressure to adopt, to adapt to tech, to adopt tech, to adopt AI, and that's a burden on lots of people. There are nuances to that, of course. It's not always like a direct firing if you don't, but it is certainly potentially, I guess, in the workplace, it's very easy to be overlooked if you're subject to the adaptation burden, i.e., you're not really ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, if they don't understand something, sometimes bury their head in the sand.
I mean, it might be just too steep a learning curve.
But I think there is. I mean, if you look at ChatGPT, if I spoke to my son at 27, he used it every day. If I talk to my mum who's 85, I'm pretty sure she's never used it because she doesn't see any reason to use it. Where my son, it's part of his day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And I think what we've got, certainly in the Middle East now, with this senior management leadership team who see AI coming through and are going, how do we harness this? How do we utilize it? And I think they've got to be very open to asking maybe people who are good at it what to do. That's going to be a very interesting dynamic.
It will be. And you have to hop on board that train, don't you? You've got to get on the train at some point.
If not, what are you going to do?
Well, there are financial implications, aren't there? If you're forced out at, 58 instead of 65 or 67 or whatever retirement age you're aiming at, you may not have saved enough. You're cutting yourself quite short.
I don't think anyone can retire at 58, can they?
Certainly not me.
No, but I think me and you are the same.
No, for sure.
I'm 58. Could I retire? I suppose I could. I wouldn't be very well off, but the reality is I think most people now, their retirement age is now 65.
Right.
Some cases in Europe, 75.
Yeah, but if you're being forced out earlier because you're not adopting technology, the adaptation burden, I'm using that phrase again because I like it, is too high, you may have to liquidate a portfolio that you don't want to, you may lose money. So that affects markets in a way as well. So there are implications there.
But also there's a huge, what we've got to understand is if people are starting to leave the workplace early at 55, 56, there's a huge drain of knowledge and equity there. How do we harness that knowledge to use within your company to make it more successful?
Okay, so it's incumbent on companies to reskill workers, isn't it?
Or at least give them an idea of first one is basic training. You're absolutely right. Train them in how to use the basic skills of AI in your job.
Yeah.
But they need to be interested in doing it. This is the issue, I think.
It's also, okay, so it's a double-edged sword. So it's, if there is a grey digital divide, right, another great phrase. I know, I'm throwing these in this morning. I've got a list, I'm just ticking them off. It's actually bingo. But if that's the case, you've got to be interested, but you've also got to provide the right training so that you get that engagement, haven't you?
Yeah, and if today, if I said to you, right, next week we're going to just talk about how you plan your day and your week and everything through Claude, what would you do to try and understand it? You'd download Claude and you'd just work through it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd give it a go. Yeah.
Some people just go, I just don't want to do it.
Okay.
So what you want? The problem we have now in this unique situation in the marketplace where AI is starting to come through and everyone thinks it's solving every problem. You've got the other end where people with loads of knowledge and experience are going, I don't want anything to do with this. There's going to be a point where they clash, and either you lose all that experience and talent because people don't want to engage AI, and AI isn't ready to cover that piece of the market. So there could be a real skills gap in the next 5 years when we lose some of our older, more experienced people because we think AI is going to solve that problem, and it won't.
It won't solve that problem. Okay, so I mean that's ageism, really, isn't it? In all but name. How much ageist bias is there in recruiting at the moment? What do you see? Honestly, because I mean, of all people who would know what to look for and see the signs, you're going to see those signs, aren't you?
Do people look at me and go, he's an old man when I come and pitch them?
No, I don't. I don't. I've never thought of you in that way.
No, but
you
that
don't come across that way.
But that's because it's how you act when you're talking to people and when you go to a client. So is there ageism in the market? Yes, absolutely there is.
Sure.
We get briefs from clients saying, I don't want somebody who's over 50. Okay. My job, because I'm over 50, is I typically push back and I go, well, tell me why not? What don't you think a 55-year-old or even a 60-year-old will not have that can help you fill that job? Now, if they talk to my recruiter who's 30 years old, they probably just go, yeah, fair enough. Because they don't see that. They're 20 years away being their 50.
Yeah, well, 50's when you're 30, 50's like, wow.
Exactly. But so is there ageism in this job market? Yes, there is.
There is.
It's our job as recruiters to find the best candidate for the job. Like there's, it could be sexism, it could be racism, whatever. My view is when we get a job off a client, if somebody starts mentioning, I don't want a so-and-so nationality, I don't want a male, I don't want a female, I start to question the client. Why? Tell me why. Now, there might be an instance where I'm doing a role at the moment where we need a male for the client. And I said, well, why do you want a male? Because the whole department's full of females. We need to start balancing the team a bit. There's a valid reason for doing it.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Okay.
But if they go, I don't want a 50-year-old because I don't think they're any good, no way. We're not.
That's wrong.
We will turn back to the client. We're not working with you. Because I have a very personal thing. It's like I really don't. When people say a woman can't do this job, absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
Absolute rubbish. So if a client says to me, and by the way, no, none of our clients ever say that anymore. They did in the beginning 20 years ago. Now, the bit we do get is we do get a bit, well, I don't want somebody over 50. And I say, tell me why. Explain to me why. There's very rarely a good reason why they shouldn't take somebody older.
It should always be about, this person could do that job really well.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
I
isn't it?
hired a 63-year-old into my company.
Yeah.
Really good. I've got a 20-year-old. They work together. It's a very interesting dynamic.
I bet it is.
Yeah, but he's learning off her, and I think he's become younger by default because the stuff like the other day, he said, we need a bigger boat, which, as you well know, is a quote from Jaws.
Sure.
And she said, what's Jaws? And,
What's Jaws?
And he went,
have you fired this person?
No.
Oh.
So what he's done is he's downloaded Jaws, Forrest Gump, Saving Private Ryan, Star Wars, Tron, and she's going through this catalogue. And she went the other day, David, I saw a film called Tron. It was from 1984. But do you know what I mean? So my point being, she's learning off an old seasoned warrior, and he's learning to be younger because she's teaching him things like AI and how to use technology to embrace his job. It's a really interesting dynamic, and it's working very, very well.
And she gets to drop like 70s cultural references into conversations with her friends.
She wore a T-shirt the other day, said Madonna on it. She had no idea who Madonna was.
Wow, that's remarkable.
I love
Did
that.
you see Madonna at the halftime show in the?
Wasn't good.
Yeah, between the two guys in the tracksuits. I'm like, who's the fat guy there? Oh, it's Ronaldo. Oops.
Fat guy.
I know I shouldn't say that, but that was my first thought.
I tell you who was really good was the guy on the guitar. Oh,
Justin Bieber.
he was really, really good.
I've got to be honest, I did watch that. I did switch off. It was a weird show. But Madonna, yeah, dancing out from underground and all that, great. No, not for me. David Mackenzie is the Bonnie Prince Charlie, the MD at the recruitment firm. See what I did? Mackenzie Jones, Scottish heritage. And all
I
that.
love that.
Yeah, stay up to date with all of our content through MIRABusiness.fm. More recruitment talk now.
Yes.
Jobs, human resources, careers. This time it's, and I thought because we were kind of looking at AI in not a doom and gloom fashion, but what's it going to mean for the future of work? I thought we could look at the opportunity of AI now. So the positive power of AI in the workplace. David Mackenzie is here from Mackenzie Jones. Starting with this, right, how AI is set to sort of cut through the administrative chaos from the HR perspective. And I want to look at this very much from your perspective, because the familiar refrain from you is we get too many CVs.
Yes.
Ridiculous numbers of CVs and people not targeting properly. So
Fact.
Chaotic at times, I think, is reasonable, isn't it?
We get, and I think I gave you these stats before, every advert we place on LinkedIn, we get anywhere between 800 and 1,000 CVs.
Yeah.
To give you the worst stat, 98% of those are completely irrelevant to the job we've advertised.
Just nothing to do with it. Skills don't match.
Could be an
wrong.
HR. We've got an HR director's job, and we've got people who are applying. Who I had one the other day who was an ex-Indian Army colonel. Actually, fascinating guy, completely irrelevant.
Really?
Now, his point was, I've managed massive loads of people. I get that. I saw his angle, but it's not relevant for the actual job. And then we had another person that was a marketing manager for a dairy company, wanted to try his hand at HR. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Okay. So people employ this kind of scattergun approach. It's just, I'll send it and you never know what I'm going to get. So the thing about AI in that case is it's going to automate things like that. And it's already doing that. So that reduces potential burnout for HR teams. If you've got 800 CVs coming in, you can't go through them, or it's just not possible. And you can reclaim some time for the important kind of human work, the human-centric work, right? So if you're looking at this in the right way, we've talked about this a lot in the past, and present and future, AI is potentially the greatest executive assistant you could ask for.
I think that's not a bad analogy.
It's probably what it's for.
I think what it's going to do, if you think about that CV is a very good example. My team of researchers spend all their time scrolling through CVs, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment.
Right.
So how can I make them more productive? AI will screen against the job description, a short list down to 10 people. It's a long list, really. So there'll be some people in that aren't relevant. But example, if it's an HR manager, it will screen down to people who've got HR experience, which will probably bring that 1,000 down to about 100. My researcher will then screen through those by using her skill set, not using AI. So it's a long screening process for us. What it means is my research is more effective. They can spend more time with the candidates that are relevant.
Yeah.
And there's much better feedback. So everybody that's rejected gets a rejection letter. At the moment, people don't reject candidates. So you don't know what's happened to your CV. It's just gone into a hopper.
No, I mean, that's a familiar complaint. And you're a bit like, why did you not even respond? Even a no. I mean, at least I'll know.
Absolutely
I get some kind of response. But your point is, you're just so bogged down. There's a deluge of stuff coming in.
Too much. We can't operate properly. And the biggest complaint we get from candidates is, you never come back to us. We can never reach you.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why, is we are so snowed under with CVs at the moment that we're trying to do the right thing by talking to everyone. But the problem is half the people we're speaking to are completely irrelevant to what we do.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. So we're not engaging with clients enough because we're too busy bogged down with candidates who aren't relevant to what we're trying to do, which means we're missing the really good ones that are stuck in all these CVs. So it's almost like, it gets so frustrating for me because I always get this, well, you never came back to me. I didn't even know you messaged me because I've had 1,000 CVs. How am I meant to find you?
Well, it's such a strange thing because it's such a people business, but you're stretched so thin by the administrative stuff, you can't be a people business and you become a digital business by default when you should be a people business and talking to
But it's unique here in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Europe, they don't have the same problem.
Right.
You put an advert out, you get if you put an ad, you get 50 people replying, and then pretty much most of them can do the job. You have to fine tune it down to the 10 that are really good. We have to go through a much longer process. My answer, if anybody's listening to this, please do not apply for a job you're not relevant for.
See, that's the thing. I've looked at things in the past and I've been like, it's not for me. And I flick past it, it's gone. And it may be a great position, great money, whatever it is. Top line, no, that's not me. I can't speak that language or I don't have those skills or whatever. And I know straight away, so I don't bother. But lots of people around me are like, have you seen that job? That'd be great. And I'm like, no, but it doesn't apply to me. No, but you might as well give it a go. And I always think, I'm not sure that's going to work. So I don't bother.
So there's a thing on LinkedIn called Easy Apply. It's the worst thing in the world. Easy Apply.
I was wondering when you'd be up with it. Don't start me on that.
I talked to Fintan at LinkedIn the other day, and I said, he said, how can we improve stuff? I said, get rid of Easy Apply. Just please get rid of that. And also stop people posting pictures of their dogs and people have died and people have had their kids.
Yeah, true. Not appropriate for that platform.
It's Instagram.
Yeah, that's true. All right then. So, where is AI? I mean, AI. Obviously, you're using AI. Where is it? Where's the most tangible effect? What do you find it's really useful for you, apart from that kind of sifting through day to day at work, rather than
we use it when a client goes to us. I've got this brief. I haven't got time to write a job description. We typically write the JD. From the notes we've got, we build a job description. We're using AI. JD, like that. Boom.
Job description vamps.
See, I threw that down.
That's very good.
But so we use that to do that. Often what we do is when we're writing blogs or we're writing proposals, we use AI to go through that proposal and to check if there's any grammatical errors, whether the construction of it's right, whether it's got any idea. It's really good. So we did a proposal the other day to a big client in Saudi. It's quite a complex proposal, about 20, 30 pages about. So we looked at what the problem was, what they'd done before and what the solution would be. And we fed this all into ChatGPT first of all. We use different ones. We use DeepSeek, we use Claude, and we use Copilot, and we use ChatGPT. We use different ones because they come up with different ways of doing things. So we fed it all in. This is the client. This is the problem they've got. This is what they want from us. This is the costing. What would you suggest? It came out with the most amazing proposal.
You see, I would argue that's just good research. That's the smart way to do it.
It was brilliant. Now, what we then did, we added our personality into it.
Okay.
This is what we know the market. This is what we've done in the past. This is how it's relevant to you. So the bare bones of the proposal were done by ChatGPT. The finesse and the bit that made us win the account was all about our past experience, our knowledge, our history, our thought process, etc.
Gotcha. All right then. So that's how you use it. If for the likes of us putting forward CVs, what should we be doing better?
Oh, please don't write your CV on ChatGPT.
No. Okay.
So
I haven't.
No, yeah, I know you haven't. So what you have to do?
What's wrong with my CV? Sorry,
It's a bit like your LinkedIn. It's terrible.
Yeah, I know it's dreadful. Yeah.
Bear in mind, we've been friends for years. You should have a much better LinkedIn than that.
Yeah, I it's just I know.
So, example, with a CV, best thing to do is think about your job, how you do it, write it down, push it into ChatGPT, and see what it comes out with.
Right. Okay.
So what you've done, you've given your thoughts on what you do. Don't just say, I'm an HR manager, write me a CV, which a lot of people do. We get so many people sending us CVs that are patently ChatGPT written and it's not them. Because what we do, and by the way, here's a little secret.
Okay.
We get your CV, we open up LinkedIn, and we look at what you've put on LinkedIn.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
if they're fundamentally different,
yeah.
somebody else is either writing that. If you're smart, you've got both in sync. We've had a situation recently, we've been doing interviews, and it's somebody who's being coached when we're doing Teams interview with them.
What, coached in real time while they're doing it? Really? So to respond in the
example,
right way?
it was for a cybersecurity expert. So, how have you done blah, blah, blah. And the cyber guy, my cyber guy was going through it and going, his answers are perfect. There's something not right here. And I said, why don't you ask him what they did at the weekend?
Ooh.
And it completely threw him. He was like, what do you mean? Well, what do you do at the weekend? You put on your CV, you're a surfer. What surfboard do you use? And you could see, type.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Now, the problem is, even now, some of those AI bots will answer that question about surfing really well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll send you a video. I saw one the other day about somebody did an interview and it was word perfect, absolutely fantastic. The only bit that tripped them up is when the person slightly moved their head, you could see it was a screen behind.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
We're going to face a problem now going forward in the future. How do we discern what's an AI written CV and what's a real CV?
I mean, at the moment, it's reasonably obvious. I look at lots of, people connect on LinkedIn, and I have a quick look at the profile, and you've got that kind of intro paragraph there, and I read lots of those, and I most of the words I don't understand, if I'm honest, because I think mine says talks. That's probably it. Is able to speak,
has coffee,
has a microphone or something, and everybody's automating complex processes and all this, and I just don't understand what it is. So I don't know anything more about that person, and I guess that's what your introductory paragraph is for.
I read a post from one of the very big recruitment companies, and I read it and I read it again. He said absolutely nothing. He just talked about engagement with people, we're synergizing our offering, and I was thinking, so I sent it to one of my friends who's a pilot, weird enough. I said, can you read this? I'm in recruitment, so maybe I'm jaded by this. Can you read that? What does it say? And And he goes, the guy has actually said nothing. We're falling into this bit now where I think AI can write superlative sentences that look amazingly good. But when you go, what does it actually mean, like you and your CV, I come out with it going, that says nothing. I mean, it literally says nothing.
Yeah.
And I think what we've got to be really careful of is I always say to my guys, plain English. Don't overly confuse something when you can say it very simply.
But aren't we at a point where if you use complex language, people like that because it shows that you can use long words? I mean, I don't know. I genuinely look at CVs and I think that to me looks really impressive. You've got all this experience, and because I don't understand it, I kind of fear it a little bit, and I almost respect it more because I fear it. I mean, I can see the process, the way that works. I know that it's mainly nonsense, and I look at my CV and I think, I probably could have written that better. Maybe I could have organised those thoughts, which is maybe what AI is good for in this case. But it's kind of blinding people with science, isn't it?
But I think smart people read through that very quickly.
Okay.
And I think recruiting managers, they look for keywords. So you have some AI that when they screen a CV, they look for keywords.
Right.
Have they done, comp and bends, your best one?
Oh,
Have they done rewards? Do they understand the Hay methodology? So it picks up those things.
Hay methodology.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later.
Okay,
Very sexy stuff.
Nice.
It's all about job families, baby. So basically, you've got to be very careful. We're in a very AI generation at the moment, but what's creeping through on this is AI covers some things, but ultimately the person at the top that makes a decision whether to see that person is a human being. If that human being is a slightly more mature or experienced person, which typically the talent directors are, they're going to read a CV and they'll go, it's just words. They want to see what somebody's really done. How have you really affected a business? How much profit have you managed to make that business? And that only comes through experience and knowledge of doing that.
That's a really interesting point, I think, because you talk about hiring externally, but there's potential, isn't there, for AI to reshape the way you do that internally?
Yes.
Because you can maybe retain top performers and match them to new opportunities before they start thinking, well, I'm going to go there because you can use AI
I'm going to teach you a new word.
Get a jump on you here.
Internal mobility.
That's a good one. I like
Boom,
that.
baby.
Okay, so I'm going to write that down. We'll use that. That's next to comp and bends.
Internal mobility is a really key thing at the moment because there used to be a thing that McKinsey's brought up years ago. It was called the war for talent. And in effect, AI companies and other tech companies were trying to find really good talent like data scientists, and there was a war on to find the best talent. So what you've got now is internal talent is very valuable because you know that person, you know what they can do, and if there are weaknesses, you can develop them. Rather than bringing a completely fresh person that you have no history with, don't know whether they can succeed or not. Right. So what you find, a lot of companies now are developing and looking at their internal talent first because their perception of them is much more valuable than external talent.
Okay. So
AI can do that, yeah.
Well, this is the point. So this could go a stage further, couldn't it? So you could tailor like L&D.
I love the way you just throw these words.
I know. I'll be honest with you. I had to look that up because I was reading something. It's like L&D. I don't know what that is. David will pick me up on that.
So there's a difference. There's in the learning space, there's learning and development and talent and training.
Oh, okay. So L&D and T&T.
Or training and development.
T&D. That's even better. So you could, in terms of your L&D, your T&T and your T&D.
Don't think TNT's in there, but
well, it's close. But what it means is, in terms of employee well-being, is you could tailor particular points of that learning and development.
Absolutely.
So you could almost customize sort of career paths in some ways. That's how AI could really improve things.
This is what's happening.
Not kind of corporate culture, and you've got to fit into that. Yeah. You could mold it a little bit more.
So
personalized.
What happens is HR have a thing called self-service, which is basically it's a shared service thing where you can go on there and ask for your letter of employment, so you can get a loan, you can ask for your final salary, all those things. But what it also does is your personal development PDPs, personal development plans. There you go, another one.
I'm enjoying today.
So what AI is doing now, you do your personal development plan, it goes into the system internally within HR. AI picks up on it, and it may identify a job in Johannesburg or in Melbourne or something that you could be perfect for, that the HR manager has no idea who you are because you're 10,000 kilometers away.
Yeah, okay.
So AI is enabling companies to move their staff around and to identify key talents and develop them.
I got to be honest, I was a little bit cynical of this because I was reading about it, and it was a paragraph in an article, and it was that this is a major positive shift, and it's called the Netflix effect, personalization of learning and career development. I was very cynical about that phrase, so that doesn't really work. But it's exactly what you're describing. I mean, is this something that you are seeing now in this region, or is this very much a US phenomenon?
It's US at the moment.
Right.
I don't know any companies actually enabling it at the moment. But let's face it, we talked about it and we see the logic to it. You just need to have an internal AI function that can actually do that and identify what you call hypos, your high performers. So if you've identified Ahmed, who's a high performer here, and he's getting to 2 years into his career, where does he go next? Well, there could be another job that he finds because he knows the manager in Azuman or something. Right. But there could be, John in Cape Town that's got the perfect job for him. It's a career move up. But in the old times, they'd have to email each other. There'd have to be a very proactive HR person or a mobility person.
Yeah.
See, BP's really good at this. BP moves its people all around the world every 3 years. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But if you're a company that can't afford all those assets, AI might be able to link up all of your people, and Ahmed might have put, look, I really want to go overseas. I really want to challenge as a data scientist, and I'd love to go, to maybe South Africa. Bing, bing, bing. John in South Africa suddenly goes, hold on a minute. Ahmed's looking for a job. He's perfect for the one I got. Let's push him.
It's a really smart way to keep good people.
Saves
isn't it?
recruitment fees.
Yeah.
Saves losing talent, losing knowledge within the company.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a massive bit that people massively underrate, the feel-good factor, the loyalty aspect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's nice to be wanted, huh?
It always is, isn't it? It's nice when a company says you're a valued employee. And I think that's more and more people will understand as the AI environment starts taking over more and more and more job, you need to value your people internally who are your assets currently.
We've got 2 minutes, and I wanted to add to that. In AI now, there are sentiment analysis tools. Okay, so you can identify how people are feeling, whether people are starting to feel burned out or they're starting to feel stressed. Wow. There are lots of other sides. So there are ways of using those so you get insights more actively earlier. So that's another side to it. But I really wanted to ask you this to sort of round things off. Yeah. Let's say an HR leader uses AI to automate, the admin layer, right? What does, as this is very much you and your team, what does the superpowered HR professional, the superhero guy look like in the future? And because we know that human skills are incredibly difficult to replicate, what are the important human skills that you're gonna need to really work on?
Oh,
do you know what I mean? So basically, what are you going to be like in 5 years' time, I think is the question.
I think if I look at adjectives of what I think a good HR person will be.
Warhorsey.
Yes. I think it'll be empathetic. I think knowledgeable. I think they will be insightful. And there'll be developers. There'll be people that will develop their internal staff and enable them to be the best people within their company, whatever jurisdiction, whatever country, whatever. So I think a good HR person will be people that HR's moving now, by the way, in the Middle East to much more of what we call commercial HR. So in effect, the MD can point to HR and go, HR has increased the profitability of their business by 20% by retaining our staff, hiring good people, and using technology to stream our business to make it more cost effective. But the fourth and the most important one, they're going to use it to build a culture and health of the business. which is the crucial thing that HR does.
David McKenzie is the MD. Here's a good one. The Father Superior.
It's very religious nuance there.
Yeah, I don't quite know where that's going.
No.
At the regional recruitment firm, Mackenzie Jones. Consultancy or firm? What do you...
Consultancy is good. I don't mind,
that.
actually. We're a UAE company. I mean, we're a local company with a global outlook.
Always good to talk to you. Thank you for coming in.
A pleasure. Thank you very much.
From our Morning Drive archive, we're bringing together two conversations on one of the biggest financial challenges facing workers today, retirement planning. With rising living costs, volatile markets, and longer life expectancies reshaping financial goals, are you really saving enough for the future? I've been speaking with Michelle Carby, who's the founder of the Michelle Carby Practice, and independent financial consultant James Thomas about the retirement savings gap, common pension mistakes, and the strategies that hopefully can help you build long-term financial security. Catch the conversation across MIRA Business FM platforms.
MIRA Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. MIRA Business FM.
This is the Morning Drive. It's MIRA Business FM. AI is no longer just for the big corporations. Small businesses are now using intelligent chatbots, virtual employees, AI-powered apps to win customers, to cut costs, and also to grow faster. But can AI really replace parts of your team? That's a question. What does it take to make it work? Aruj Sheikh is the founder and CEO of Workstream, which is a platform that helps SMEs embrace, hopefully, the next wave of business automation. He's here with me. It's good to meet you.
Hi there.
Good to have you with us, Aruj. What I want to do this morning is try to kind of demystify AI automation for SMEs. First of all, what's the main driver as to why so many small businesses are turning to AI right now? What's your experience of why?
Well, I suppose the main driver is a competitive advantage. So I speak to many small business owners, and what I find is that a lot of them are constrained in one way or the other by some kind of a limiting factor. That limiting factor could be how many clients they can get. It might be how many administrative jobs they can do. And all of those can be alleviated to a lesser or greater extent using AI these days. So we set out to build a platform that will let them do that without the scary knowledge of how AI works.
What do you think when business owners come to you and their attitude to AI is, ChatGPT is just helpful for writing emails or whatever? What do you say to that? What does an AI-powered small, medium enterprise look like in practice? Or what should it look like in practice?
Well, Tim, imagine that you're running a small organization or company, and you have maybe one employee, and you really want to be able to do more. So, for example, if you handle all the jobs that you do using one person, now you can do that using 5 people. You could now have 4 virtual employees plus your real employee and give them different job descriptions, pretty much like you would with a normal person. AI can now talk over, chatbots, over email. In most of the channels that a human employee would use can now be used by AI, and it's been increasing in capability by leaps and bounds over the past few months.
It's speeding up, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it's scary in a way how the things are moving along.
And that's for somebody inside the industry. I mean, I guess for you, is this? Are you kind of looking at the way the industry is growing? Is it hard to keep up?
It is, because you have to look over the horizon, as it were. You have to try and predict what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
I have to say that even though you say I'm in the industry, it was hard for me to imagine how much AI would advance by. I mean, we all say about where it's going to be, but it's hard to predict how quickly it's going to arrive.
Yeah. It's an anticipation industry, isn't it, at the moment? That's the thing that I think more of us miss. So more and more SMEs are leveraging virtual employees, as you say, and smart automation. You can scale, you can cut costs, you can compete, as you pointed out. What do you find the biggest business problems that AI can solve are?
Well, I think wherever you have some kind of a limit, as I said earlier. So a classic example would be finding customers. That's something that virtually every time I speak to a small business person, not a small person, but a business that is small.
I like the idea of a little mini business.
They come back and say, well, can you get me 10 times more customers than I already have? I say, well, yes, it's a journey. You can certainly start that. So use AI there. So for example, if you have a website, most businesses will have a website.
Sure.
And that's one way in which you can drive more business. Normally, people just go there and try and find what they're looking for. But with an AI chatbot, let's say, embedded on your website, it can engage with people. It can actually sort of empathize with people. It can help them understand how you can sort their problem out. Well, once you get their sort of confidence, it's easier for them to sort of engage with you as a business, and you get that business that way.
Okay. I mean, historically, advanced automation was that was for the big boys. It was out of reach for a smaller operation now. So this is a revolution in those terms, the last couple of years, really. What's changed in the market that now allows, I don't know, a 5-person or 20-person business to deploy intelligent chatbots and virtual employees in such an affordable way?
I suppose the profligation of all these services. I mean, in a way, the Claude and ChatGPT and so on are giving you what started about 6 months ago as this entire agentic capability. Agentic AI, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, is the ability for the AI to not just, converse with you, but to actually do things on your behalf. And that is now being taken to a commercial level as the AI becomes capable enough to perform tasks on your behalf. So that's the revolution that's taking place, I see before us.
I guess so, and it creates a debate. I mean, the core debate is, can AI replace workers, or should AI replace workers, I suppose? That's at the heart of this. It's one of the biggest questions, I suppose, on lots of business owners' minds, efficiency versus headcount.
Exactly. So my opinion is that there are certain employees that you can't replace. And in fact, it's not so much about replacing employees. It's about being able to do more with what you already have. So if you have 3 people, keep the 3 people. I'm sure that, they are a huge advantage to your business. But at the same time, if you had 2 extra hands that could, help you boost your business, then why not? That's the competitive edge that you have now, which you didn't have before. And at Workmaster, we basically are setting out to let you do that with the minimal of understanding of the technology behind it. Just go and talk to our bot, and it'll help you do that.
Sure. I mean, I was going to ask you that. I mean, can virtual employees genuinely replace administrative roles, in your opinion, in a small team? Or is it better to use them to kind of supercharge the staff that you have, so you have this kind of great administrative assistant?
Both. I think the supercharging of your existing staff is something that's already being seen. I mean, if you have Claude Desktop or if you have the latest offering from Gemini or ChatGPT, you can do that. Those systems are set up to help people, existing staff, actually do more with whatever they have. And that's fine. But what we're saying is you have an autonomous system which is able to take on responsibility. So, for example, at Workmaster, when you set up a virtual employee, it's not a bot, it is a person. Might be called Sharon or Charles or whatever. And they have a job description and they have roles that you assign to them. So they understand. So it's like, it's not a per task bot. It is a virtual employee that works for you 24/7, and it is always polite. It is always able to do the jobs which you deem fit for it to do, and it doesn't take any weekends off.
May I suggest that you call a bot Tim?
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Done.
Just, I love the idea of being a bot.
Can I have your job description?
Which I've been accused of. I'm not even sure there is one, I'll be honest with you. When a small business introduces AI, automated AI, there's often anxiety, right, with existing employees. There's still a resistance, I think, and maybe, perhaps as far as a fear. So how can leadership introduce virtual workers without causing panic or without exacerbating resistance in the team?
Firstly, to your original point, which is that there is a lot of resistance. It's not so much resistance. A lot of people that I speak to don't even believe that AI has an influence on their business.
It's a lack of knowledge.
It's a lack of knowledge.
Right, okay.
So that's one. And then, of course, as you say, there is the scary factor of having to deal with something new.
There is this kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and let's face it, particularly for smaller businesses, they have to have the day-to-day running of the business to take into account without having to think about something that may or may not affect them. So that's one part of it. Now, my suggestion is that if you want to get started, come to Workmaster and chat to our bot, because it actually gives you a very simple starting point. I mean, something as simple as a chatbot on your website takes 5 minutes to set up. doesn't require any technical knowledge whatsoever. And that's your easy way in. And then see how it behaves over a period of, 5 days, 10 days. And then come and chat to our bot again, say, what else can you do for us? It'll suggest a virtual employee and what other tasks. It'll literally try to understand what your problems are. It'll ask you, what is it that keeps you awake at night? It'll ask you, what is it that if you had the virtual genie and it could make 3 wishes come true for your business, what would those be? And you could tell it that, and then it would suggest what to do. So the idea is that it's not so much about AI as a technology, it is about AI as a means of getting you up and running as quickly as possible with the minimum of technology.
It sounds really simple to me. It doesn't sound scary at all.
Well, that's the plan. That's the idea.
Okay. Well, let's look at the kind of practicalities then. For example, how can a website chatbot help turn more visitors into customers that spend, paying customers?
Well, firstly, when people visit a website, they have a problem. Does the website know what that problem is? It doesn't, because a website doesn't know anything.
Sure.
So it's up to the visitor to go and find a solution to their problem. And let's face it, a visitor to your website has probably the attention span of a goldfish, about 3 seconds. So unless they are able to engage or find something relevant, they're going to just, go away to somebody else's website. So a chatbot that literally, as it wakes up in front of your new visitor, that literally says, can I help you? Can I solve your problem? Can I understand what your problem is? And of course, that itself is an engagement in itself. If the user then says, or the visitor then says, here's my problem, it can help the engagement. So perhaps if I were to give you an example, so let's say that you run a gym, right? And you have a very fancy looking website, as most gyms do. And people come there and they look at, a little bit intimidating pictures of very fit people doing exercise regimes on very smart equipment.
Oh, you're talking my language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you're, in your mid-50s and, a little bit...
Paunchy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
So what you do, and the website isn't particularly engaging from your point of view.
Right.
But the chatbot, Sharon, let's call her, might be. So you talk to Sharon and say, well, Sharon, I'm in my 50s and I haven't done any exercise worth your, any exercise for the past 6 months. And Sharon might say, okay, have you thought about this? Here are 5 simple things you can do today. And by the way, we have, Tim from our personal trainer who is available on Tuesdays. Would you like to book an appointment? And that's your way in. So 2 things. Firstly, that bot is not generic. It is not ChatGPT. It is not just picking generic knowledge. It is picking your brains, the knowledge that you built into your business, because you have primed it. There's a file drop on our system where you can go and tell it about your system. So the chatbot knows about you, and it's trying to engage the customer using your brains. Secondly, it has empathy. It understands what 50-something, I keep saying 50-something because I'm 50-something.
I'm with you, don't worry. You've also promoted me from bot to personal trainer,
Exactly.
so I'm liking this.
There you go. You're up there. So that empathy counts. It turns 1,000 visits into one paying customer into maybe 100 visits turning into one paying customer.
You said empathy there, though. So I have to ask about that. How can a bot? I don't know. How does empathy work? Because that's just a pastiche of empathy, surely.
Okay, perhaps it is. But what I suppose I meant was the ability for it to understand your problem.
Okay.
You have a problem.
Okay.
It understands your problem. Whether that is real understanding, in a way, it doesn't matter. As long as it is able to engage you and answer you or give you an answer which you find relevant.
Well, this is one of the things with AI handling customer service that in the past, I've struggled with. And I mean, it's catching up so quickly. So maybe this is a moot point to some extent. But very often, it can be quite frustrating talking to a bot in customer experience terms. It's hard to get across. Perhaps things have caught up now, but I've found myself, trying to return something and I need to talk to somebody. So there's that side as well. So where are we now in those terms, do you think?
That's a very good point. I mean, I'd be the first person to say that when I call up, let's say, my bank, and I am shunted to an AI, I try to sort of backpedal out of that as quickly as I can. Yeah. And I'm sure that's what most people do.
Sure.
But the reality is that AI is here to stay. So the chances of us being able to speak to a real customer are probably becoming smaller and smaller as times go by.
Right.
So the only real choice in front of us is how to make that AI, be it the bot or be it the thing that answers your phone, more relevant to the person who's doing the calling. And that's where this sort of meteoric rise of modern AI is taking us. So to answer specifically your question about how to stop that customer bot from actually turning the whoever is dialing in or whoever's chatting to it from being turned off, the answer is two things. Firstly, it needs to be relevant. So the questions it asks, the knowledge it has, needs to be relevant to that particular person.
Right.
And secondly, it needs to be agentic. So it can do something about it. There's no point in a customer bot, let's say, or customer service bot, talking to you, listening to your complaint, and then being able to just sort of pass you off and saying, well, we'll do something about it later. That's not what it's about. If you're able to give that customer what they want, that might be, I don't know, a refund on their service, or it might be a booking with a real, employee, or it might be a return of whatever it is that they want. That would be much more engaging than
It will be.
Exactly.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, there have been times when I've talked to bots and on goes the caps lock, and I'm shouting. I don't know if the bot gets that, but potentially there is a mismatch there, isn't there? There's an impasse, I suppose. So AI employees are replacing the more repetitive office jobs, I guess it's fair to say. What business tasks should owners automate first for the best return, do you think?
Well, you should ask yourself two questions. Firstly, what is it that gives me the most value for my money, right? And that, in a way, I've already answered by saying, well, it's customer acquisition. It's those kind of things where you bring in more clients for whatever business you run.
Yeah.
The second thing is, where do you lose money? And that losing of money is administrative jobs. It is the compliance work. It is HR processes. It is the regulatory work that you need to do in any particular environment. So here in the UAE, for example, there are fairly hefty regulatory processes that you need to do if you're in certain business sectors to do with anti-money laundering. And you have to do KYCs on new businesses or customers. So those kind of things can be passed off fairly easily to a virtual employee. And then you ask yourself the questions, well, now that I've done that, what's the next stage? Where is it that I can actually get more work for the same amount of effort on my part? That's how you go about doing it.
How much human oversight does AI still need if you want it to work really well?
It needs a lot. The honest answer is it does need a lot, especially when it comes to doing agentic work.
Yeah.
In other words, the kind of work that a human employee would do. Because imagine if you were, running a business and you had an employee just sitting down the table from you, and that employee had to take some action which cost or potentially cost the business something. That person would probably just look over their monitor and at you and say, well, can I do this, Tim? And you might say yes or no. So that kind of affirmation, that kind of confirmation is something that a virtual employee should also be able to do. So that's what we've gone out to sort of build. Any task that a virtual employee performs is effectively a business process. A process can consist of tasks which are completely done by the AI, or if you feel that there is something that requires confirmation, you have a human oversight. So what ends up happening is a large number of tasks can be automated or pre-automated for you, as it were, but you make the decision. You're the human in the loop. you actually say go, and at that point, that decision becomes final. So to answer your question, yes, and I see that as a problem for AI emerging, that human supervision, one form or the other, I don't see that going away. And the reason is that effectively your AI virtual employee isn't a real person. So they don't get scared by making a mistake that will end up with them losing their jobs, for example. So you need to have someone do that oversight. You can't really have an AI take responsibility. Responsibility has to stay with a human.
The checks and balances are key here, aren't
Correct.
they? That's the point. Okay. In terms of implementation, the reality of implementation, lots of SMEs buy into, I guess, the promise of AI, but setup, I suppose, can be overwhelming in some cases. Because, I mean, it is a step change in a business, right? So what are the most common mistakes, perhaps, a non-technical founder, I know you're saying it doesn't need a great deal of technological know-how, but if you're very non-techie, let's use that as the word, what mistakes do people make when they're trying to automate workflows?
Well, Tim, I'd say that the first mistake they make is that they actually don't think that AI is relevant to their business at all. So let's say they have, overcome that particular hurdle. So they decide to do something about it. The second problem is, well, where do I get the information required to prime my AI? Where do I tell it about myself? And the answer, and they sort of, the big thing to do here is to start off small rather than dive, into the deep end, as it were. Because in my experience, your biggest bang for your buck is small amounts of information that prime the AI to do bigger jobs. And you can then fine-tune that by giving it more and more information. So a mistake I commonly see is businesses try and turn their existing databases of customers or their accountings, whatever they have running. They try and say, well, AI is only going to be valuable to me when I take all of this and I hook it up to the AI. That's certainly true, but it does imply a sort of so much effort up front before you get any value that you run the risk of either losing a lot of money or losing a lot of time getting there, which amounts to the same thing.
Yeah, so it does. So, it can be overwhelming, can't it?
It can be. That's why at Workmaster, we tried to build a platform which lets you get started with a very simple input, right? You can literally just say, what is it that we do? In the case of that gym, for example, you say, I'm a gym, I'm based in this part of Dubai, and here's my speciality. I cater for this particular group of people. And here's how I stand out from the other group of gyms around me, right? And if you write those 4 sentences down, you've got the AI prime. Now it's able to do stuff for you there and then. You get the bang for your buck very early on. And then that buys you the confidence to go and do more.
How about affordability? I mean, can SMEs really afford AI? Is it still a little bit of a step too far financially? Is it too expensive for lots of businesses?
I would say no. I mean, again, visit our website, workmaster.ai. You'd be surprised at the pricing. I mean, we're talking under $50 to get started per month.
180 dirhams a month.
$50 less than per month.
No, that's 180 dirhams.
Correct.
184 dirhams, isn't it, at the moment? So okay, which is the cost of, I don't know, your podcast platform subscription, I guess. Okay.
And by the way, you can get started for free. So that $50 or 180 dirham price tag is only if you actually use up more than your startup allocation of AI tokens.
That kind of surprises me. Okay. We're over time. I've got loads of questions I wanted to ask you, so I'm kind of looking for something that this interested me, and I wonder what you're going to say. Well, what skills should business owners and employees develop as AI is introduced, encroaches more and more into their work, and becomes, just day to day, almost as though you're not noticing it? What do you need to develop in yourself?
You need the ability to see over the horizon. So what's going to come next? That is a very hard thing to do. But talk to people, read a few articles on AI, and keep yourself informed on what is happening now. And in a way, use platforms such as Workmaster, because that's what we're doing. That's what I and my AI engineers do day in and day out. We try to see what's coming next and turn that into useful features for your business. Those are the 2 or 3 ways in which you can stay informed and therefore stay, I suppose, pre-armed for the conflict that's coming with AI.
Okay. This is very much, final question for you. We're very much talking about tech adoption because that's the stage we're at the moment. But if somebody who is running a small business, an owner is listening or watching this at the moment, what's the single most important step, do you think, that they should take or should be taking right now?
Inform yourself of what AI is able to do.
Okay.
You're probably hearing a lot of scary stories, and you have a task on your list of back burner tasks, which are effectively about, I'll have a look at what AI can do for me. I would visit that task sooner rather than later.
Okay. I love that phrase, back burner tasks.
And I'm sorry, I'm very bad at mingling my metaphors.
I have so many back burner tasks. I think that's what it is. You've reminded me about something. Aroosh Sheikh is the founder and CEO of Workstream, talking AI this morning. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. Joining us. This is MIRA Business FM. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts anytime.
MIRA Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. MIRA Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
It's the morning drive. This is MIRA Business FM. AI spending your money next. Personal finance. AI is shifting from a financial advisory tool to an autonomous economic actor. Such a great phrase. Breaking down the macro fragility, cyber threats, and necessary banking safeguards. This is according to recent research from Moody's. So what might, or indeed does, this mean for our personal finances? Our expert is James Thomas. He's a UAE licensed independent financial consultant, and he is back. Good to see you.
Likewise, good morning.
Big shift happening at the moment.
Yes.
I think AI is evolving from a tool that kind of recommends what you do to actually paying bills, moving stuff around, maybe even investing for you if you prompt it in the right way. So it's gone from recommending how we spend to actually spending our money.
It is potentially doing that.
Potentially doing
Yes.
that. Well, I mean, the problem
Or
with this
starting
is
to.
starting to do that. But as soon as AI starts to do something, next week it's doing it.
It's
It's the speed, isn't it?
It
I mean,
is.
that's
It's
a
so quick.
bit scary.
Potentially, as with all of these things, you know, it can offer some huge advantages, but also, as perhaps now being slightly,
You're hesitant at the moment. You're hesitant,
it's just it's a new thing, isn't it? We're allowing something that has there's no human. And I've often talked, as we've joked about in the past, black boxes, these controls that are just computer models that build portfolios. Well, this is, if you like, that on it's not just a...
This is now on steroids, potentially.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is taking potentially, rather than just saying, right, I want to follow the FTSE or the S&P or whatever index and handing my money to a computer program that then just manages that, i.e., you know, because obviously the S&P 500 is 500 companies and those values are constantly changing. So rather than having a team of people buying and selling, it's all done autonomously by a computer.
Yeah, it's
AI,
tracking,
black box, call it what you will. This is then the next stage of actually deciding how much to invest into that and how often you do that.
Yeah.
So it's not taking away, but it's moving on from all the conversations we've had about sitting down, budgeting, working out how much we wish to invest, when we wish to invest, and still having that control. And while we've again discussed having things automated, organized, pay yourself first, these, you know, the phrases we've used, this, again, it's taking it to that next step. Your salary comes in and this AI model, bot, computer program, call it what you will, cloud, just taking control and distributing your salary without any input from you.
Yeah.
Based upon, I'm assuming, and again, the research I've been doing, all of these programs, it's a budgeting program on steroids. That's a great way to phrase it. It just takes control. You tell it what you want to do, and it does it.
You just said it there. You tell it what you want it to do, and it does it for you. So there's a switch on and off mechanism there. There's a prompt mechanism there.
Certainly the start of it, but where the Moody's article and other research seems to be implying that actually it then starts to...
it starts to learn.
Exactly. Where's that matter? It learns what it thinks are your goals and strategies and objectives, and then starts to put a plan in place itself.
See, this is the point, and I'm glad you say that, because this is the point at which it becomes... I mean, it's very intuitive in lots of ways, but as soon as the AI learns and starts to make decisions based on past history and that which it has learned, it becomes counterintuitive, because control is then potentially, not in every case, but it's potentially lost.
No, it's very true. I mean, again, we were just talking off air about cars and sport. It was a really interesting, I found it very interesting, aside to this, related to AI. They were talking about the Belgian Grand Prix happened at the weekend, and the drivers are getting strained, the laps of the track, and AI is learning when to deploy the power and the battery, because they're now running a combination of combustion engine and battery.
Sure,
And why
yeah,
this is relevant, when in qualifying, you have a different strategy to the race. Qualifying, you're absolutely flat out for one lap. And then whereas the race is obviously more consistent and you can't perhaps push to that nth degree.
Yeah, yeah.
And the learning was really struggling with that and was then giving the cars different performance parameters at different points in the track and giving very different results because it wasn't expecting there to be a difference. So it's just showing, I think, why we've got this amazing tool that we're still at the very bottom of that learning curve. I think it's growing and growing. It was just something that's at the cutting edge. Formula One, is the absolute peak of motorsport. Even that is trying to employ this technology, and it's throwing up strange results.
It's just not quite there.
Not quite there, which is why the hesitancy. Because again, perhaps bringing it to our personal finance and things, we earn X a month, and we've divvied it all up. And it thinks everything is running smoothly. But of course, we know life is not like that. The car breaks down, the washing machine, fridge, whatever. We have an unexpected trip we need to take, and we suddenly need funds. What if it has allocated every last dirham we earn? If we haven't told it to allow for the contingency, we're suddenly in a very difficult position.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Okay.
That's why it could be amazing, and I'm sure it will be, but it's just to be aware that, real life is not always completely linear.
But it's natural for you, isn't it? And I'm glad you do it because it's what you should be doing. Is you're always a little bit, I use the word reticent in an advisory sense. Yes. Because you have to be that way. You've got to be, and you're unique in a way because you're like, no, spend your money, enjoy your money, but also you have to realise that you need to save your money.
Yes.
And most of us is like spend, not save anything. But
again, I guess where these tools could come in to be very useful in the sense that they would encourage more of the saving and not just the spending. However, let's. Again, slightly reticent, maybe slightly cynical. Who has built these programs? What is it trying to achieve? Is it for your best interest or is it for the company that's built it?
Good point.
So is it going to encourage you to spend more? Is it going to, when you fill your virtual shopping cart online, spend that? Or is it actually going to tell you, no, that money is better utilised for your future? I don't. Again, and
or is it going to say like you do? Put it in the cart. If you still want it tomorrow, when you come back and look in your cart, then maybe you should. Yeah, okay.
Level of
it's a system of checks and balances.
Yes.
I keep saying that we've talked about AI a lot this morning, actually, on this show, and it comes back to that as well.
Yes.
Do you know what? Something I was thinking about. Lots of AI agents are pretty samey. If you plug a sentence into Claude, to ChatGPT, to Copilot, to whichever ones, you get a slightly different response. Yes. They're reasonably samey. So I was thinking about that. So what they're doing is essentially accessing lots of similar data.
Of course they are.
It's a research tool. Yes. Okay. So that might lead to similar reactions to the same economic signals simultaneously.
And it has done.
So that's what's happening, isn't it?
Again, when we have seen stock market crashes, they have been amplified because of these, again, I keep calling them black boxes, but they're AI tools, they're autonomous programs that are monitoring markets. They see something being sold and they follow suit, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then we actually see potentially a far bigger fall than we would have had if it was humans trading the market.
And there's a phrase for that now, the automated flash crash.
Yes.
Which is kind of scary.
It is.
But that's almost a regular shock.
It is. And we've almost become not used to, but expectant that these things can and do happen. My response is, well, just hold fire, because the programs then take in that data from the next day, and surprise, surprise, markets bounce back. What we do, it does generate more volatility, which other programs make more money from. So you're in this, it's not even a virtuous, but a circle where computers are creating issues that perhaps weren't even there, amplifying them, making more money for certain other programs. And I always wonder and worry who ends up holding the loss.
Or you're a conspiracy theorist, James Thomas, aren't you?
But it's not even a conspiracy. It's because it's just happening because who's typed in the code that these programs are following.
On top of all this, though, your money is your responsibility, right? So it's your responsibility to understand
Yes.
everything that you're outlining, whether there is vested interest or not. I mean, I'm sure there is at some levels, but it's up to you to understand how it works. So the responsibility ultimately is yours. So you would think, wouldn't you, that most AIs are programmed to act rationally, to be careful, to act and to save money, and to understand those sort of principles. So how do we prevent micro kind of rational decisions turning into much bigger macroeconomic disasters, sort of thing? It's one of those questions.
It's very rhetorical. I mean, is it rhetorical? But
That's exactly what it is.
It's a almost impossible one to answer. I would hope, because they have been built in such a way. But of course, there's always that first time when these things get tested and something happens. Even way back, 6 years ago with COVID, if we recall, in a week markets fell 20-30% because of the uncertainty that situation brought. As time progressed and we realised, thankfully, it wasn't, albeit it was very serious, it wasn't quite world-ending, that the initial thoughts suggested it could have been.
Sure.
And therefore markets relatively quickly recouped those losses.
Yeah.
But as you rightly say, sometimes there can be these micro that turn into macro events that are amplified by these AI tools.
But AI is another amplification system in that case, isn't it? And that's one of the things that we guess we need to be aware of.
It's to be aware, but then not to panic ourselves and sell.
Sure.
Because that's what the machine is doing, the program. But of course, as like I say, when it then closes or they do have the stop loss positions, when the data is fed in that actually, no, this wasn't quite the situation that people feared it was, you will see the next day, you think you have an amazing performing day. And it's that panic that you have to try and avoid, that you exit, move to cash, and then avoid and then miss out on the next day or period of time when things very quickly recover again.
The good lesson here is, isn't it, that the great thing about humans is we are intuitive, but we have the ability to kind of fight the tide and be counterintuitive by design.
Yes.
So you zig, I'll zag.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Indeed.
And that creates opportunity. When everybody's buying, you should be selling. When everybody's selling, you should be buying.
The classic Warren Buffett phrase.
Yes. That's the mentality that we need to be aware of. But again, this is knowledge and the awareness of staying on top of your money. And that actually is the point, isn't it?
Very much so, as it always is. That is the fundamental point of all financial planning.
Yeah.
It's your money, it's your life, it's your future. And therefore, have some involvement, some equity, some interest in that. I'm not saying we need to, as I say, this automating things is brilliant. It saves so much time. Like we've discussed in procrastinating, buying things, doing things, whatever it might be.
I know.
And these programs will assist with that. But just make sure they are assisting and not taking control of.
Well, that's been the theme all through the day today.
Right, it's good to hear.
Well, here's the thing, right? Ethically, there is an ethics question. There's a kind of a moral dilemma. If an AI agent is tricked, okay, and it's in charge of, say we're at a point where AI agents are in charge of your money, and it's tricked into a fraudulent payment or moving money to the wrong account or making some kind of error that costs, okay, who's on the hook for that?
At the moment,
can't work that out.
The research I have done, there is no precedent at the moment.
No. So is it you or me, the consumer? Is it the bank? Is it the software developer? I mean, it's not like you can kind of shout at Claude and say, "I'm going to sue you," because Claude's going to just not respond.
No.
Or any AI.
Indeed. When we were discussing this yesterday, this is the sort of research I've tried to do, and it just doesn't, because this is at the cutting edge of this sort of technology. They are, again, this is, if we rewind a few years with crypto and the coins, that's why there was this reticence again, because there were no regulations around them.
Yeah.
How do you police them, control them? Are they the right words? And I know a lot of the coins were developed precisely to avoid that. But of course, when they become mass market and the normal consumer is using them, they expect them to have some rules and regulations and protection around them, so that if I use them, buy them, invest in them, use them as a transaction. And it's the same with these AI tools. If they were to do something incorrectly, now if your bank has implemented these and that makes a mistake, my belief would be that then it's the bank's tool, therefore the bank is responsible.
Yeah.
But if you have gone to a third party, installed that and told it to do this, that and the other, and it does something fraudulent, then the bank's going to say, no, it's nothing to do with me, because we have not put that program, which is why you perhaps start to see why banks now, even if you want to send, and I wanted to send my mum some money the other week, the questions I got asked: do you know this person? Yeah, I think I do. Are you sure about this transaction? Yes. It's why you think, well, why am I being asked all these questions? It's because of this, because
there are safeguards in place. I mean,
Yes.
it's
You might
when
not
you
realise
set
they-
up a payment,
yes, that's what. Yeah, exactly.
it takes it'll take a little bit of time in most
Yes.
cases before it's
You think,
accepted.
why is this? But it's because
Then you're asked again.
they
Yeah,
ask and ask and ask, and whether you realise or not, this is the bank protecting itself,
Sure.
because still you will have people say, I thought it was fine. Well, no, we asked you 3 times. Are you comfortable with this payment? Do you know the person you're sending the money to? And I still have clients have then come back to me and said, thank goodness the bank did, because it turned out it was.
Well, this is the
fraudulent
thing.
transaction.
This is the really interesting thing, isn't it? Two-factor authentication, where you have to go to your and get the code and put it
Yes.
in. I mean, it's really frustrating, but it's a lot better than losing thousands of dirhams on
Exactly.
a fraudulent transaction.
Yes.
That it's a fair point. So let's have a look at the ways. I want to throw a few things at
Okay.
you. Nothing technical, just opinions really. The ways that AI can be a powerful tool for foundational learning, for research, for assessment, for summarizing articles, whatever it is. It's a fantastic tool, right? So that we're all aware of that. But if you're going to rely on AI for like really complex tax issues or compliance issues, or you have to be a little bit wary, I think, and do your research and check.
Very much so.
I think
Always.
that's fair. But when it comes to AI in like personal finance, if you want to brainstorm solutions or map some money habits or stress test some assumptions that you're making with your money, it's great for that
Again,
as well.
fantastic.
'Cause
It's a third
offering
party.
assistance.
Assistance to your theories.
Yes. Yeah.
Are these sensible? Yes
Yeah,
or no? Am I going to get 20% a year return for the next 20 years? I would like to think if you put that into an AI tool, it would say, yeah, the level of risk you're going to have to take might mean that it's quite an aggressive strategy, to be polite. If you turn around and say, right, I'm looking 6, 7, 8% a year, I want to build a balanced portfolio, I want to, et cetera, then it's going to say, yeah, that's a very sensible strategy.
So your
And back up.
chatbot's not going to go, yeah,
Maybe not.
which is
But it would say the equivalent
that's
of that.
why you need a certified advisor. That's the point. Okay, but the difference between that and a professional like yourself is the verification process and the discussion process.
I hope so, yes.
And critical information that you need to be aware of that maybe somebody hasn't experienced. You've more than likely experienced
Yes.
it because it's your field. I was going to make a point. Another thing to remember, because we're all guilty of this, I think. Don't put personal identifying data or redact account numbers in, before you submit, a query or an inquiry. I mean, I think that's very important with AI because AI records everything.
Everything.
And that's the thing that we need to remember. Because that's the job, isn't it? It's to learn and use information.
It's a large
learning model.
Yes, large learning model.
Yeah.
So what does it need? It needs lots and lots and lots and lots
info.
of data.
Yeah, feed me.
Feed me. And so it's more than welcome. And again, this is the flip side of the equation, that we are gaining the information it gives us, but it is gaining from the information we are feeding it too.
It's two-way. You're right.
It is a two-way. It's not a one-way street.
Yeah,
and they have to remember that. Absolutely. Do not put your bank account details in there. Do not give it... They do not give it personal information. Everything's personal. But you know what I'm trying to say? That are things that can really allow it to access.
Yeah. Yeah. Think twice. That's the point. Okay. So when it comes to budgeting, budgeting smartly and questions over expenses, you could ask AI something like, can you help me categorize and analyze the last 3 months of expenses and map out my spending patterns? AI would be great for that.
It would be fantastic for that. Yes,
Okay.
It saves you doing the old-fashioned way, which was the fishbowl and your receipts, and then plugging it into an Excel spreadsheet.
You've been in my house.
And doing it manually, absolutely. You can feed it the data, and it will generate that in seconds, I would expect.
Yes.
And then you'd have such a detailed analysis of your expenditure. And then, of course, it would probably then tell you what is deemed to be essential expenditure and what was, dare I say, frivolous. And it will then be able to tell you where your money is going. And it will be a fascinating breakdown of actually where that money has been spent.
It's also actionable. That's the
and it is
point.
actionable.
It's
yes.
useful. That's the thing. I was thinking about this. I've got a few questions here, so
Okay.
I'm going to put these forward to you. If you're trying to reduce spending, you know that you're a little bit beyond your means.
Yep.
Okay. You could ask a question like, give me 5 or 10 ways I can reduce my monthly bills. I don't know, grocery bill, whatever it is, or subscription costs, without that being detrimental to my lifestyle. And if AI is aware of the things, you've got a Netflix subscription, a Prime Video, you've got Disney, whatever it is. Do you need all three? Probably not.
No.
And you're spending, and it knows as an idea, or you feed the information of what you're eating. Can you change there? Not great examples, but you know what I mean. I'm trying to illustrate a
Yes.
point. AI would be great for that,
Yes.
to trimming the fat.
Because
I suppose.
again, it is, and again, I don't know. Again, I'm sounding very old and, dare I say, grumpy.
Grumpy old man. Good.
But because myself and other financial planners, or indeed your partner, friend, someone that you trust, would probably point exactly the same thing out to you. But we've already invested a huge amount of trust and belief in these tools that we'd probably take their view ahead of those other people.
Yeah.
And even though they would have always been there and able to say to you, well, yeah, exactly, the Netflix, Amazon, or Prime, or Disney, do you need all three? Which one do you spend most time watching? Bin the other two.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. But I mean,
but because it's telling you, and we look at that as having far more weight in its analysis.
well, it's bare bones. It doesn't try to soften the blow. It's
No.
just, this is what you're actually spending, and
Yes.
that's quite hard hitting. And that, I think, is a good exercise if
very
you're
good.
trying to be more sensible with money. It would also be a good thing, I think, if you're trying to pay off debt. I mean, debt's a hard thing to handle. It's something that many
Yes,
people
and
bury their
again,
heads in the
it will-
sand about.
Yes, it will point out what debt is the highest interest, which
Yeah.
one to pay off first, how
Yeah.
to pay it off, how. I guess it takes away also having to, again, add all those numbers to Excel or spreadsheet and work it out manually. You tell it what your debt is and what the interest rate is, it will be able to very quickly, well, almost instantaneously return to you, easy for me to say, what that payment would look like and how quickly you can actually reduce that and pay it off. So yes, it is very powerful.
How many people say to you, when you say to people something like, when you sit down with a blank piece of paper and look at somebody's finances and you're about to, look at a way forward, and you say, because I know this is what you do, what are your goals?
Yep.
Where do you see yourself? What do you want to be able to do when you retire? Whatever it is, like that. Those kinds of questions. How many people are, I hadn't really thought about that. Most people are like that, right?
Of course they are. Because
AI is great for something like that, to look ahead, to think, I do all of these things. It's as an idea generator, AI has access to so many things.
It does. I'm smiling because...
I know you're smiling. I'm thinking if you want to narrow something down, you're really into skiing, you want to retire to a ski resort at some point. Where are you going to go that you can afford?
Yeah.
There's a way of narrowing things down.
Let's be the spin.
For example.
Put the positive spin on it. Yes. If I'm sitting down with you and I ask you those questions...
I'm a really bad example.
No, but only... But you're not, because most people will say, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Your example, you might well say, well, where are my children going to be? Are they going to have grandchildren? I'd like to be near them.
Sure.
I don't know where that's going to be at the moment. So therefore, it's still quite vague.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to say, again, and you put those details into an AI agent, and it may give you this wonderful response that you suddenly say, oh, yeah, I love the idea of that.
True, and that's to be wary of.
And it's hence why, again, I'm being reticent,
okay.
and you might turn around and say, oh, stop being so negative. But it's true. Is that then your dream, goal, desire, wish?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it actually just spitting something back out to you that you like the sound of? Maybe you want to go and follow a band, or get back into your music, and well, yeah, that's a great idea. But the reality still is, I want to be where my wife is and where my children/grandchildren are. That's a far more powerful, but it's so more vague because it has to be, because their lives are going to vary and change as they progress through their lives too.
No, that's true. But as an idea generator, but I think you're right. I mean, that's why you're the financial advisor. That's why you're, cautious, and, it's good, because otherwise I'd, be following James Brown, and he's not even alive. But there you are. You know what I mean.
Exactly.
But the point is, AI has access to much more information than we could ever store.
Indeed.
So it can generate ideas. It has access to potential inflation figures. It has access to portfolios. The comparisons are great.
Yeah, I think that's the positivity, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can generate this story, this idea, but it can actually very quickly then put numbers around it. Okay, so I do want to do these things. That's what it will cost. So therefore, I need this. Likewise, well, if my children are going to be in the UK, and that's where yours are at the moment, but there's no reason why they would stay there. Mm-hmm. But if they were to, okay, if I want to live there, this is what, I think we've actually talked about it before, what a comfortable retirement looks like in the UK. And therefore it can give you a number. And this, again, it's turned it from a dream, makes it sound very wishy-washy, but it is into an objective, into a goal with some numbers that you can then aim to plan towards.
Yeah, exactly. And again, actionable. That's
it makes it very actionable.
There's another side to this. If you have questions about limitations of AI, or you're questioning how much you should trust, right, you can use AI to check itself. So you could ask something like, what am I missing? Because that's the great thing about it. It's very, very broad. You could base it on, age and, goals, income, whatever it is, and say to AI, what important questions should I be asking that maybe I haven't thought of yet? And this is the thing. And it's that idea trigger.
It is.
So that's good. So if you use AI in that way, the great thing about this, and this is quite a positive way to end, I think, you're actually encouraging your own sort of sensible financial planning responsibility, if that's your approach to it. Does that make sense? So it's a positive.
But again, all of these things are predisposed on the idea that you have cared enough to start asking these questions.
True.
And that's my positivity, because when someone sits down with myself, one of my colleagues, they have taken the trouble to do that. Therefore, they want to put themselves in a better position for their future. This is a similar strategy in the sense that you've actually taken, rather than aimless surfing, you've gone to one of these locations and started to ask these questions. And again, if you got to the point to ask, what am I missing? You know, your mind is clearly thinking and working towards where you want to get to. So that's
the
very
ideas
positive.
are crystallising if you do that, aren't they? Yeah, yeah.
And it's just helping to build and flesh out and build that structure, which I hope would accompany someone like myself. Because obviously otherwise we're surplus to requirements. But I don't think that is still the case. It helps the process.
No, I think matters like this, people turn to people turn to experience, and they want that's a discussion.
But it does very much
need.
help. Maybe the beginning of the process to start to form and formulate your thought process and ideas. And then I was having an email conversation with a client this morning, asking me lots of questions, and he's one of my best clients. That sounds a naff phrase, but a guy that I've known for many years, and we get on very well. We've worked together for a long time. And he said, I hope you're not upset by my questioning. And I said, no, I'm absolutely delighted, because it very clearly shows that you've given us an awful lot of thought. And therefore, when we do move forward with my advice, there's going to be no questions or uncertainty. You're very clear in what we're doing and the reasons why we're doing it. So, and if that has come through him being on an AI agent or whatever it might be, it's still actually enhancing our relationship, because he's asking lots more questions than someone just saying yes, 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 yes. And then 5 years' time, why on earth have I done this? Because they've not really bought into the process.
No, but that's the way you learn, isn't it? I suppose that's a sense of personal responsibility. You know, being curious about something is.
So if it encourages that, then it's a great thing.
James Thomas is a UAE licensed independent financial consultant. He is not a bot. He's here in the flesh. Good to see you.
Likewise.
In case you missed it, we're bringing together two conversations on how smart branding can help businesses navigate challenging times. I've been speaking with Stevie Lomas, who is the founder and CEO of the Camel Soap Factory, about the Save Our Soap campaign. And the idea is to sell 25,000 bars to support the homegrown brand. It's been tough times. Alongside Lucy Bradley, who's the brand commander at Plug, the creative mind behind that Save Our Soap campaign, about why bold storytelling and consistent marketing matter most when businesses come under pressure. You can catch the conversation across MIRA Business FM platforms.
MIRA Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.